Hello, everyone. Dom Tiberi here. It is time for the greatest rivalry in all of sports. We call it Ohio State versus Michigan. We're going to break it down with our guys, Dave Holmes, Adam King from 10 TV, along with former Ohio State receiver, the one and only DeVere Posey. He's now on 97.1 The Fan. Also joining him, Tim May, 97.1 The Fan, Letterman Row. DeVere, overall, how well do the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, just from a football stand-up, match up in this game?
Oh, this is a big matchup, one of the best in the country this weekend. You're talking about two of the nation's top defenses, two of the most efficient passers. They're not going to wow you with stats, but these guys really don't turn the ball over. I mean, both only have four interceptions on the year. They've only had 335 passing yards. They're high. So this team's on both sides of the offensive of ball. They're very efficient. They run the ball well, Trevion and Blake Corum. They get their tight ends involved. Both sides of the team. They're really kind of looking in the mirror offensively and defensively. The strength of each team is their defensive line. So who can get to the quarterback, who can not turn the ball over, and who can be efficient on third down and score in the red zone is what's going to be very important here.
Adam, your motto is you're critical of the quarterback position. You always have, not at Ohio State, but
I don't think that's ever. Let's be clear.
No,
I don't have a motto of that at all.
It's his motto, trust me. Anyways,
I have witnessed. I've never said that in my life.
Critical of the quarterback position. With that said, at Ohio State, it is Kyle McCord. And, he's only as good as his offensive line.
Okay.
Is Kyle McCord and this offensive line ready for this test?
Go get him, Adam.
I'm ready. No, I got a chance to sit down with Kyle and kind of talk about the season and where he is. And I just get the feeling from Kyle that there is another gear. And the good thing for Kyle is he doesn't have to go into Ann Arbor and have a Heisman moment. He doesn't have to go into Ann Arbor and play the greatest game of his career. Ryan Day, sometimes it's kind of funny. Ryan Day has these sayings, which is competitive stamina and managing the game. But I actually feel like managing the game is perfect for Kyle. Just go out there and just keep it even-keeled, which is what he does best. I do think when we look back on this game, I think it's going to be the moment where Kyle says, let's go. You know what? One way or another, I'm not going to be the reason that we lose this game. I feel like the offensive line has come a long way. For some reason, they like to block better for Trevion Henderson than anyone else. They're a big fan of that. But if they can keep Kyle McCord's jersey clean, I think this Buckeye offense is going to do phenomenal.
I have a motto: when in doubt, air it out. I've always said that. The other thing is no one consistently covers the tight end at any level of football. Kate Stover's going to factor big time in this game if Kyle McCord keeps him in mind, which I think he will.
Well, you've always been very critical of the tight end position. Well, it's your motto.
No, I have not. I mean, I think tight ends are the most underutilized, except when you really need them. And these are the kind of games where they step up because they really need them.
Tim, Ohio State has two home run hitters for sure, in Trevion Henderson, Marvin Harrison Jr. With that said, and I do think Kate Stover will figure in. But for those two guys in particular, and Earl Bruce, Woody Hayes, they all said in the big-time games, big-time players,
make big plays,
become
blah, blah, blah.
legends.
Yeah. That was his motto.
What do you think we see out of those two guys?
Well, the guy you didn't name, and I understand that, Emeka Egbuka, because he hadn't gotten to play much, but that enhances Marvin Harrison Jr. and Cade Stover's chances of really having big games, because this guy changes things for their defense when he's in there. We saw him playing full speed last week in that game for the first time really since he suffered that looked like a high ankle sprain. If he's ready to go 100%, and he says he will be, that just changes everything for all those guys, because now, I was talking to Cal McCord, he's finally got the weapons that he had at the beginning of the year, and they're ready to go, and he's much more experienced than he was at Indiana. And it just changes everything for this offense from a confidence standpoint of Cal McCord. Somebody's going to be open, and it might even be Julian Fleming.
All right, Dave, on the other side of the ball, this game will feature two of the top defenses in the country. Michigan currently ranked #1. Who have they played? But they are #1. Statistically, they are there.
I don't
but
think
who have they
played was in the question.
Is that a question? Is UNLV?
Is that your motto? Who have they played?
We run down the list.
Ohio State, and you see who Ohio State's played, and they're ranked 4th in the country. We know Ohio State has delivered so far this year. I mean, it's been amazing each week. We know that Maryland last week was able to get pressure on J.J. McCarthy. They were able to sack him With that said, is Jim Knowles and this Silver Bullet defense licking their chops?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to digest there.
Oh,
but
there,
the
yeah.
last part of that comment, yeah, they are. This is the game. This is the final exam. They're better this year. And last year they had 5 touchdowns of a combined 349 yards. That's 70 a pop.
Yeah.
5 of them, not 2 of them.
Just shy of 70.
5, yes, exactly. Yeah, 69.2 if we're being exact. So I mean, that's not going to happen again. It can't happen again. That's such an anomaly. But can Michigan run for 5 yards a carry and do that 35 times? That can also put points on the board. This defense is better, and they're better than Michigan's defense. They have to show it now, though. We've said all year they're fixed. This is their final exam. I think the biggest thing that could go wrong here is if they're just too amped up, too nervous, too, almost making it bigger than it is, and it's hard to do because it is so big.
Yeah.
But you've been waiting for this one for a full year, and everyone has said, doesn't matter when it's against Maryland, doesn't matter against Minnesota. All that matters is this one. That can get in your head a little bit. So as long as they can stay calm, I think they're going to win the game because 2 years ago, the wrecker up there was Aiden Hutchinson. Yep. He wrecked the game. Yep. JT Tuimoloau is that guy. And I don't think Michigan's D-line, while good, doesn't have a wrecker like they did 2 years ago.
Have a big time.
Yeah.
D-line. No.
All I know, history sometimes repeats itself, and history, Tim, shows us that the best team does not always win.
Yeah.
I remember going up there when Ohio State was favored, and I remember Biaka Batuka ruining the day.
1995.
It's just the best team doesn't always win. I think as I look at on paper, I will take Ohio State's skilled players over everyone. I think it's a toss-up with the guys in the trenches, although I do like Ohio State's defensive front. With that said, I think the motivation is with Ohio State, and therefore it's time to pick our game winners. And I'm going to start with me. I'm taking Ohio State to win 28-24. I know that's no big surprise, but I don't particularly care for that team up north, and I'm not an apologist. Tim May, how do you see it?
Michigan's number 1 in the country in points, fewest points allowed, 9.0. Ohio State's number 2 in the country, 9.27 points allowed. I don't care about that. This is a game. This is a game where offense has come to play more often than not in this century. I see Ohio State 31-20.
I like that. Severe Posey.
You got to let it all hang out, man.
Yeah, I see us getting to 31 points as well, and I don't see Michigan getting to 17 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like
our
it.
defense is going to come and play. This is a championship defense. What I saw last week versus Maryland gave me a lot of confidence going into this week.
Adam King, how do you see it?
I think the best players on the field win you games. And I think if you laid out a spreadsheet and checked them off at position, I think you'd be surprised to see that Ohio State wins a lot of that check mark. And when you go to distractions and coaching, they certainly win there right now. I think the Buckeyes get it done. I think they win 34-28. But I will say this. The 28, I think, is going to be tough to come by. I think that's something that the defense, it just hasn't happened. We've been waiting for the other shoe to drop this year.
We're not giving up 28
And just to be clear, before Dave gives his answer, we all sat down for a roundtable to start the season. You said 12-0, you said 12-0, you said 12-0. I said 12-0.
It's true.
Dave, what did you say?
I said 11-1.
So, Dave, who you picking?
Well, now,
Cue the 60 minutes intro.
Allow me to hedge here on that prediction. When I said 11-1, I was playing a 12-team parlay, and I saw road games.
That is what he said.
Because you guys pinned me to the wall that day. Said, "What's the loss?" I said, "Well, at Notre Dame, at Wisconsin, Penn State at home, at Michigan, one of them." So let's hope I'm wrong. And if we are, I will gladly come out and apologize. I do think that Sharon Moore is going to play your guys' tape on a loop in the locker room. You guys think they're going to?
He's got a lot of tape to play.
I think it's way more of an old school.
That's a good sign stealing joke.
That's a very,
He's worried about what we're saying, and he's got big issues.
I think this is more low scoring than you guys do. I'm going to Ohio State 24-20. I just think it's going to be an old school football game where there's going to be a lot of punting, a lot of field position. Two teams that might be a little hesitant to air it out, and two defenses that are pretty decent against the run. So I think 24-20 Ohio State. And I will be wrong, and gladly, I will have pumpkin pie and crow this Thanksgiving weekend.
I just had to give you
No,
that.
I was waiting for it. I wonder if someone's going to play the tape. And by the way, if they lose, I'm not going to crow.
Yeah, you're not going to walk out.
I'm not going to brag about getting 11-1 right. Trust me.
All right, guys, great stuff. Keep it on 10 TV, 97.1 The Fan. We have you covered when it comes to the Buckeyes.